This is the Highly Sensitive Club, episode number 68.
Have you been told you're too sensitive, too dramatic, or too much? Do you have big feelings and deep thoughts you don't always know what to do with? I'm Linn, a certified life coach and highly sensitive person. I've helped dozens of highly sensitive clients feel more energized, more confident, and more in control of their high sensitivity. In these episodes, you'll get the information and inspiration to level up your life as a highly sensitive person too. Welcome to the Highly Sensitive Club.
Hello, highly sensitive person, and welcome to this week's episode of the Highly Sensitive Club. This topic is very personal for me, and it's something that I have been working through a lot lately. It's something I've been helping my clients through. It's typically the thing that keeps all of us from doing the things that we want to do. Today's topic is resistance. How do we work with resistance as highly sensitive people? How do we move through it? And what does it look like on the other side? My definition of resistance is arguing with the reality of a situation. We feel most resistant when we don't want things to be the way that they are. We don't want to see the situation as neutral and something that we have power over. It tends to be connected to our expectations of how things should be. And we put ourselves through a lot of turmoil because of how we think they should be. Resistance and expectations are two sides of the same coin. When you have very strong expectations and they don't go the way that you think things should go, you are going to have very strong resistance as well. Resistance is also arguing with yourself. Not only are you arguing with the reality of the situation, but you're also ignoring your own signals, whether that's emotionally, physically, or mentally. This happens when you don't want to feel the discomfort that comes along with a difficult emotion. I say difficult and not negative and not bad because I don't believe that any emotions are bad. Even negative emotions have their purpose and they have a place in your life. None of us can escape emotions that feel very uncomfortable. The higher your capacity to feel uncomfortable emotions, the greater you expand your capacity to feel comfortable emotions and pleasant emotions. They work both ways. The more you can feel pleasant emotions, the greater capacity you create for yourself to feel uncomfortable emotions. If you are resisting your own emotions, meaning both the intellectual internal sensation of them and the physical sensations of them, you are experiencing resistance. Think about Newton's second law. Every action has an equal and opposite reaction. So let's pretend that you are pushing against a wall right now. If you are in a place where you can push against something, maybe you're driving in the car and you can push against the steering wheel. Maybe you are out and about and you're in a place where you have a door frame or a wall nearby. Push on the wall. It will not give. In a physics sense, it is pushing back on you as well. You are receiving an equal and opposite reaction. The stronger you push on something, the more you are actually pushing back against yourself. This is a beautiful analogy for the way that our emotions and our internal resistance works on ourselves. The only person who is experiencing the resistance is us. You might be taking action to actively resist injustices or things that you see in the world that you want to make a change for. That's wonderful. That kind of resistance is beneficial because it comes from a place of justice. It comes from a place of fairness. It comes from a place of progress. The resistance that I'm talking about is the internal resistance that you have to doing something that your spirit and your soul is actually calling you to do. It's something that appears in your mind. It's a desire that you have, and it's the thing that's keeping you from where you are and where you want to go. There are lots of ways to experience resistance, and it is very uncomfortable. I can also tell you that resistance is the thing that's going to take the most energy, and it's going to keep you the longest away from the things that you want. There are two different reasons that you're resisting something. Number one is because you're feeling confused. You have doubt, you're overwhelmed, maybe you're stressed, and you don't feel certain about what's coming forward. That sense of uncertainty and confusion is keeping you in the resistance. This is where you're telling yourself, I don't know how to proceed. I can't figure things out. It's coming from this victim place where you're procrastinating, you're slowing yourself down, and you're keeping yourself stuck because you're getting some kind of benefit out of it. It's keeping you feeling comfortable because you're in a familiar place. You are afraid to start the process, or you're afraid for things to get messy, or you're afraid that some kind of negative consequence is going to come up. This type of resistance is extremely common. When you are trying to push through, you might be depending on willpower. You might be trying to fall back on these productivity frameworks and systems in order to push through because your resistance is out of fear of messiness, fear of failure. Sometimes it's out of fear of success, the fear that if you have the thing that you want, then there are going to be unintended consequences that come along with that, like greater responsibility, or what happens if you have more visibility and suddenly you have people who disagree with you and who want to argue with you on the internet. These are all things that you are capable of handling because we all have infinite capacity to handle these things. But if you have fear coming up, that is probably your biggest motivation for why you're feeling resistance. The other reason you might be feeling resistance is because your mind and your spirit are actually trying to tell you that the thing that you're moving towards is not aligned for you. It could be that the action itself is not aligned, that you're not paying attention to how you feel and what you think about the action, or it's that the timing is wrong. Sometimes we have really clear actions and really clear goals that we want to do, and the timing is just not right. Sometimes that's our own timing. Sometimes we choose to prioritize other things over the thing that we're working towards. Sometimes it's divine timing, that no matter how much you are pushing towards getting something, it is just not the right universal time. It's coming towards you, but you don't know when the time is going to be, and there's some surrender that you are resisting. Resistance comes down to wanting to have a sense of control. Because when things are not going the way that you expect them to go, it gives you a sense of control over your own emotions to keep arguing that you're right, that the way that you think things should be is the way that things are meant to be. And if you keep arguing with the situation or you keep arguing with yourself, then something will change. I have found recently, and I bet you will find as well, highly sensitive person, that the more you resist, the more it actually compounds. The more you're arguing with yourself or with situations that are outside of you, the greater the resistance will become, and you are getting yourself more and more out of control. The control comes because you can feel the resistance, let it be present, and then let it fade so that you can make other decisions. You don't have to live in resistance. Resistance is actually a choice. Where you get stuck is trying to maintain control by arguing with yourself or arguing with the situation, and you continue to spiral more and more out of control. I will give you two recent examples for myself of how resistance was really strongly showing up. I have found by examining this pattern that resistance has been a constant companion with me through every single phase of growth that I have ever gone through. Every single time I've had resistance like, why me? Why do I have to be the one to do this? This should be someone else's responsibility. Why do I have to go first? Why do I have to lead? Why do I have to do the work? And usually the response is because you're capable, because you desire it, and because you have the capacity, because you're the one who's doing the work. If other people aren't doing the work, they can't do the work for you. You have to do the work. This has shown up a couple of ways recently. I told you recently that I was working on expanding my capacity. I joined Capacity Work with Stacey Bayman. Fantastic entrepreneurship program. It was just a quick series, 7 calls, so much value packed into those calls. I love this woman. However, I did the first call. I took what she was saying to heart. I challenged my mental and emotional and energetic capacity, which I did not think that I could do as a highly sensitive person, but I did take the time to challenge it. Typically, what this sounds like is I'm tired, I'm exhausted, I don't have the energy for this, I'm going to burn out, I'm feeling overwhelmed, there's too much on my plate, I can't handle all of this. All of these thoughts that keep us stuck in smaller capacities, those are all thoughts that create resistance. They are all thoughts that create the sensation of trying to control the situation by labeling it something that may not be true, because at least that way you feel like you have control over your emotions and you have control over your energy. The problem is that you end up doing the exact opposite. You take away your own control and your own autonomy when you think those thoughts because you're putting your agency and your ability to get things done on something that is external to you. Your energy or your time or your appointments, your situations in life are outside of your control. You can't control the political environment. You can't control the economy. You can't control other people in your life. You can't control how quickly and when things come to you. The only things that you can control are how you act and who you are being. The steps that you take based on the person that you are becoming and how you align your actions with your thoughts, with your emotions. The more you're trying to control things that are outside of your control, the more out of control you feel, and the more you create your own sense of burnout, overwhelm, and stress. I challenged my physical energy, and here's what this looked like. I had a very busy Monday. I was on camera for 6 hours, having intense focus and presence with other people. 4 of those hours were back to back to back. I was facilitating a call, I was working with clients, and I was working with mentees, and all of those things were very close together. My brain was telling me, this is too much, 6 hours on Zoom, full presence, I can't do this, I don't have the energy for this, this is going to burn me out, I'm going to be exhausted at the end of the day. I really examined the situation because I'd had 9 hours of sleep the night before. I had one of the best nights of sleep that I had had the entire week. I felt very rested when I got up. I took a full hour for breakfast so that I could cook a healthy meal. I had a beautiful cup of black organic English breakfast tea with some lavender honey in it. I listened to an energizing podcast. I listened to my audiobook for a while, which is fantastic. India Holton's The League of Gentlewomen Witches, wonderful. If you love period pieces and you like silly, clever fiction, I listened to my book. I took good care of myself. Physically, I was not overstimulated. I was not draining my energy. I actually felt great. Mentally, the thing that I came back to is I want to have these conversations. These are conversations that not only did I seek out, but if I had to choose my ideal day, this would be it. These are exactly the conversations that I want to be having every day. I want to be teaching coaches how to be very effective, how to challenge their own beliefs and show up with a ton of confidence and trust in themselves and in their clients, which is exactly what I do with my students. I want to have transformative conversations with my coaching clients so that they can bust through their blocks and move forward. The whole day I was thinking, am I tired? I'm actually not tired. I'm checking in with my body and I'm not tired. Am I mentally overstimulated? No, I'm actually getting energy from these conversations because these are the exact conversations that I would choose. When I ask myself that question, if I had $1 million, what would I be doing with my time? I would be coaching people. This is exactly the thing that I would be doing if I had all the money in the world, all the time in the world. I'm already doing it. So when I challenged my thought that this is too much, it's too long on Zoom, I'm going to be exhausted, and I really thought, is that true? I realized that it's not. At the end of the day, while it was an energy output, I wasn't exhausted. I actually felt energized and stimulated from the conversations. I felt satisfied, like I had used up my energy really, really well. I had burned my energy cleanly, helping other people grow and improve as humans and in their profession. It was a wonderful feeling. I felt so satisfied. And the next day, my resistance rose beyond proportion to the amount of capacity that I had proven to myself that I could have in a single day. I spent the rest of the week being in complete resistance to my entire schedule. I was demotivated. I didn't have any inspiration. I didn't feel creative. My brain was really pushing back on this idea that I have more energy than I was giving myself credit for and that I could do difficult things and not get tired. My brain was like, oh yeah, I'll show you. Huge resistance came up. Then I resisted the resistance. I'm trying to get out of the resistance. I'm trying to be productive. I'm trying to get things done. The resistance is just building because I'm just giving it more of itself. I'm putting fuel on the fire and it's growing and growing. By the end of the week, I was exhausted. I had literally created the thing that I was most afraid of with my own resistance. I wasn't doing it by challenging my capacity. I was doing it by creating resistance to the actual challenge itself. By doing that, I felt exhausted at the end of the week. I used up all my energy stores and I didn't get the things done that I really wanted to get done. Having some really great conversations with my peer coaches. I was in a coaching program. I brought it to them as well. I had some really clear conversations about where this resistance was coming from. And I realized that by constantly turning away from the resistance, it's like I'm trying to escape and the resistance is in front of me. It's like I surrounded myself with this bubble of resistance, and no matter where I turn, it's there. As the saying goes, no matter where you go, there you are. The resistance was coming from me. There was no escaping the resistance. When I actually turned and looked the resistance in the eye, meaning I sat with it in my body, I felt the sensations of where the resistance was, and I paid attention to the thoughts that were creating the resistance, then something magical happened. I had this huge insight that the resistance was trying to slow me down on purpose. Why? Because I'm in a space of comfort right now. I have worked so hard on every single area of my life. I've worked on my health. I've worked on my relationships. I've worked on 2 different businesses. I have worked on everything so hard, my habits, my growth, my communication with other people, and everything is going well. All the plates are spinning at the same time. I have this beautiful equilibrium. And this doesn't mean that my life is perfect and that I don't have problems. I still have grief that comes up. I still feel sadness. I still have anger. I still have resistance to doing things that I want to do. I still have the discomfort of learning new things that I've never learned before that are unfamiliar to me. I still have problems. It's not like they completely went away. But the situation of my life is stable because of all of the work that I've put into creating the stable situation by working on myself. So the resistance was saying, you're trying to rush out of this stage that we've been working towards for our whole lives. You have money in the bank. You've got clients who are having transformation. Your health is great. Your relationships are great. The weather's great. You're feeling great. Your mood's great. Your energy's great. You're working on your habits. Everything's great. And you're trying to go and get uncomfortable. What are you doing? Why are you doing that? My brain was doing its natural brain thing. My primitive brain was saying, we need to stay in comfort as long as possible, and we need to be as efficient about it as we can. The resistance came up because my intuition, my body, my emotions felt like I was trying to rush to the next thing, and I wasn't really savoring and celebrating this milestone that I've created. I reached my ideal day. I had an entire day full of coaching conversations that went so well. I loved every single conversation that came up. And it hit me completely out of nowhere that when I envisioned this ideal day, I thought I was going to be thinner. I thought I was going to have more expensive clothes. I thought I was going to be in the most amazing house. I thought I was not going to have any problems. And I still had problems. And yet my ideal day happened anyway. So the resistance was trying to slow me down. This is one of those instances where it wasn't the fear, it was out of alignment. I was out of alignment with the actions that I was trying to take, and I was out of alignment with the timing of increasing my capacity because I hadn't taken any time to slow down and celebrate the accomplishments of all of my goals coming true and having my ideal day. The other benefit to recognizing this ideal day is that since it didn't happen the way that I thought it would happen, I didn't have the beautiful house, I don't have the perfect car, I don't have the beautiful expensive clothes, it was actually a lot closer than I thought it was. When I made that ideal day, I was basically in this same situation. I was probably sitting in this exact same office. I had the exact same laptop. I had the exact same clothes I'm currently wearing. I was probably the same weight, the same hairstyle. Like everything was probably the same when I came up with this ideal day. And the situation was still the same when I achieved it. It was my internal state that actually shifted. It was the actions that I took. It was my alignment with my beliefs that really created these external circumstances. It started with me internally and then it rippled out. We are taught to believe, and many of us think, that it starts externally, and it's exactly the opposite. When you build the internal strength and the internal resilience, you take the actions that then create the external circumstances that you want to have in your life. So my dream, a lot closer than I thought it was, which makes me very hopeful for my next dream because I bet that's a lot closer than I think it is too. My resistance was actually trying to give me a gift. I was out of alignment and I wasn't taking the moment to savor this major accomplishment in my life. When I took the moment to celebrate it and savor it, I suddenly understood what it meant to have gratitude for where you are while working towards something in the future. For 3 years, I have been playing with this concept of having gratitude for what you have while you don't have your goal yet. These two things felt mutually exclusive to me and very black and white. I didn't understand how you could be grateful for what you have when you don't have something that you want. And it suddenly occurred to me how you can have both. because you're acknowledging the reality of the life that you have now. Everything that's going well in your life is because of choices that you made and actions that you took previously. If you love your job, if you love your home, if you love your relationships, if you're feeling great in your body, it's because of previous actions and previous decisions that you took that led you to where you are. You can acknowledge the efforts that led you to create the external circumstances that you have in your life right now, even though there are still going to be issues. There's still going to be discomfort. There's still going to be problems that come up, and there's still going to be uncomfortable emotions no matter where you are, no matter what you have. However, your ability to handle those uncomfortable feelings becomes greater as you work towards these goals. This is the other half of the capacity work. You rest, you expand your capacity to take actions, and you believe in yourself. You align with your mind, your body, and your spirit, and you feel the negative emotions that come up, and you learn how to handle those problems so much more easily. For instance, I have learned recently that a common theme for highly sensitive people is feeling overstimulated and dysregulated when someone else around you is upset. Many of us have learned that when someone else is upset, this means that either we've done something wrong or we need to fix it, or both. So it can be very dysregulating for us when we feel like we have responsibility for other people's emotions and we need to smooth them over or calm things down or keep things even for other people. I have learned over time that when other people are upset, that doesn't have to dysregulate my nervous system, and I don't have to take responsibility for them. I can sit with people who are going through uncomfortable emotions. I can be present with myself. I can be supportive, and there can be a separation between us while I'm also caring for them and while I'm also empathizing with them. I can completely understand where someone is without taking responsibility for their emotions or for rescuing them. 10 years ago, that was a concept I could not have wrapped my head around. If 10 years ago me could see how I handle conflict and how I handle uncomfortable emotions now, she would be amazed. And she'd be like, how do you get there? I don't even understand how you get there. And it was all the little choices along the way. When you're in alignment, the resistance starts to disappear. If the problem is that you're out of alignment, the resistance, once you face it, once you get curious with it, once you treat it with openness, just like you would with anyone around you who's feeling resistant or going through a hard time, it will have wisdom for you. When I faced my own resistance, I was able to slow down, feel this gratitude, and recognize that I'm ready to move to my next plateau. I'm ready for my next goal. I'm ready to climb to the next level. I can have both at the same time. When I got into alignment around that, then I wanted to take aligned action. That's when the inspiration started to hit again. That's when I started to feel creative. That's when I was able to expand my capacity, and I wasn't in a hurry to expand my capacity. I wasn't trying to go from a small little bubble to a huge bubble. I went from a small bubble to a slightly larger bubble. And then the next time I press my capacity, it's a slightly larger bubble. I'm growing in a consistent and sustainable way instead of trying to force myself into a new level that my nervous system, my mind, and my spirit are not ready for. This could be the gift that resistance is giving you. Are you in alignment with the actions, the beliefs, and the emotions that are all together creating the next result or the next goal that you want to have? On the other hand, if the resistance is coming from a place of fear, fear is completely normal. It has a place in your life. Fear is not something that you need to run away from, even though, yes, it is telling you that you need to run away from it. This is how that resistance starts to build. If you're resisting your resistance because you're out of alignment, it will just escalate and it will turn a molehill into a mountain. If you're running away from your own fear because you're afraid of feeling fear, that's how that resistance builds on that side. I have been resistant to social media pretty much since social media came on the scene. I was the last one to get a MySpace. I was the last one to have a Zanga. I was the last one to get a Facebook. All of my friends already had all of those things. And from the very start, even when I was actively participating on Facebook, I was resistant to it, or I would be inconsistent, or I did all the things on social media that they tell you not to do, like vague booking or complaining about things or being toxically positive in my posts. This is when I was a teenager. So I've distanced myself from social media over time. I have an Instagram. I hardly ever use it. I've never been on TikTok. I've seen TikToks, but I don't have the app still. I had a LinkedIn that I'm very resistant to because I have found for myself that having in-person conversations or virtual conversations where I can see someone's face and I can hear their tone of voice and I can read their nonverbal cues and feel their energy, that feels better to me than static text online. But what I want to do for my business is to meet more people and to reach more people and to share the podcast. I love following a podcasting badass. I took some of his advice and his action steps, and I'm preparing to start a social media campaign where I start sharing shorts on YouTube so that if you're watching this episode, you might have seen this from a shorter clip that I grabbed and put into the shorts. I would like to share it on Instagram. I'm debating TikTok, we'll see. But I had this resistance to social media for so long that even putting things on YouTube felt scary. It felt like a podcast is separate from social media. So I'm just going to avoid social media, but I'm going to keep doing the podcast. Except that then I can't get the word out. I forget some of the great content that I've created for my podcast, so people don't have the opportunity to connect with it. I realized that I just had a lot of fear and anxiety about using social media in an aligned way for my business. I was afraid that people would judge me and make comments on my posts. I was afraid that I would put things out there and nobody would respond, which definitely happened in my business for about 6 months. I was posting consistently and I was out of alignment, so I didn't get any responses. People were saying, "Oh yeah, I saw that. That looked really cool," but I didn't get any engagement. I didn't have people showing interest. I didn't get people hiring me for coaching or saying that they were getting value out of the posts that I was creating. I had this fear of social media, that it was going to suck up my time, that people were not going to resonate with it, or worse, people were going to judge me, and then I would get into these online battles with a troll. That fear was keeping me from sharing the podcast with more people. It was keeping me in that resistance to taking action and doing it in a way that felt aligned. I want to learn how to use them more effectively because I know that my people are there. In addition, I'm still going out, I'm still meeting people, I'm still talking to people, I'm still having fantastic one-on-one conversations. I'm just adding on something in addition. My resistance came from the thought that if I add something new, I'm going to disrupt the equilibrium that I worked so hard to make. Through this process of addressing this fear and that type of resistance, I realized that I'm already uncomfortable. I was afraid to make myself uncomfortable, to upset the apple cart, because I was afraid that by making myself uncomfortable, I wouldn't be able to maintain my current level of stability that I've worked so hard for. And what I realized is that I'm already uncomfortable. I already have a desire to share this podcast and this content with more people. I already want to grab clips and those golden nuggets that I hear from every episode and share that with people. I already want to offer it as free value to people. And the more I resist it and the more I delay it, the more uncomfortable I get. The longer I live in this fear, the more I'm building the resistance and the more I'm resisting the resistance. When I decided to make everything smaller, I addressed the resistance directly, and I realized that I'm going to be uncomfortable either way. I'm uncomfortable by not pursuing the thing that I really want to do and connecting with more people and giving a ton of value. I'm uncomfortable by being outside of my comfort zone, learning new skills, and potentially opening myself up to someone arguing with me. Either way, I'm going to be uncomfortable, but this direction, being out in the world, making progress, sharing things, that actually gets me closer to my goal of connecting with more people and giving more value and changing people's lives. If I'm going to be uncomfortable either way, then I might as well go towards the discomfort that's going to get me what I want. That kind of resistance, facing the fear, seeing what exactly is it that I'm trying to protect myself from, that's how I got out of that resistance. As soon as I faced that fear and I recognized that it was coming from a place of trying to keep me in my comfort zone, trying to keep the things that are going well, continuing well, I could acknowledge what was happening. I could take steps to protect myself and my energy, and I can still make progress. I can see the value in getting beyond my resistance and going through the resistance to get to the other side so that I can help more people and give more value. So I want you to think about this, highly sensitive person, for yourself. Where are you experiencing resistance in your life? Is it resistance to a movement or a fitness routine? Is it resistance to changing the way that you structure your time? Is it resistance to going out and being visible in front of other people and doing things that feel a little bit scary and uncomfortable? Is it trying something new? Is having a hard conversation? Wherever you're feeling that resistance, once you've identified it, examine these two paths. Are you resistant because you're afraid? If you are afraid, why do you think you're afraid? Is it because you feel uncertain? Is it because you're afraid of a particular consequence? Where is this fear coming from so that you can make yourself aware of it and address it directly? What's the gift that that fear has for you? Because fear is always trying to protect us. Fear is always trying to keep us safe. How is your brain trying to keep you safe? How can you address it, protect yourself, and reassure your brain that you are going to be okay even while you take steps toward your goal? If, on the other hand, you're out of alignment, you don't actually want to take the action, you don't like the person that you want to take the action with, you are not being honest with yourself or with someone else about what's happening, or maybe the timing is off. You really want to make something happen, but when you examine your priorities, you realize that it's just not that big of a priority for you right now. That's when you can face the gift of that resistance. How can you be in alignment? For me, it was, how can I savor and celebrate the accomplishments that I have right now and making myself uncomfortable with unfamiliar things and learning new skills at the same time? Whichever way this goes for you, whether it's fear and you want to create safety and protection for yourself, or whether it's out of alignment and you need to examine your priorities and your timing, either way, when you look the fear directly on and you make eye contact with it, you get curious about it, you're open to it, you can start to see the gift that this resistance has for you. If you know that you have resistance, or you have no idea where the resistance is coming from, but you're just really tired of spinning your own wheels and fighting against yourself, I would love to help you. Go to stephanielynn.com, that's Linn, and book a consultation call with me. I am really good at diagnosing resistance right now because I have done so much work on my own resistance. I can pretty easily diagnose where your resistance is coming from, and I can almost guarantee that what you think the resistance is about is not actually the case. It's coming from your internal space. It's coming from either fear or misalignment, and once you know what it is, then you can start to make informed decisions, choose what's best for you, and then take actions that align with your beliefs and your thoughts. If you're going to be uncomfortable either way, you might as well be uncomfortable in the direction of where you want to go. See where the resistance is and what gift it's trying to give you, and then let it go. Nothing will slow you down faster than resistance. Thank you so much for being with me here on this episode. I can't wait to hear how resistance is coming up for you, what it looks like, and how you would like to move through it. Resistance will always slow you down. It's the most energy intensive emotion you can feel. So the sooner you can get curious and lean into it and make eye contact with it, the easier it will be for you to make peace with it and move forward. I would love to hear, so leave a comment below if you're watching this on YouTube. If you are listening to this on one of your podcast apps, leave a comment, or you can always go to my website at stephanielynn.com and hit the contact button so that you can leave me a comment and let me know how this is resonating for you. Please like, review, and subscribe to the podcast so that other people can find it. I'm going to be pushing through my resistance to share it more online so that I can reach more people as well. And I will see you on the next one.
Thanks for listening. If you're ready to take what you learned today to the next level, head over to stephanielynn, that's Linn.com, and book a consultation call to get started. I can't wait to see you there, my dear HSP.